Welcome to another episode of Yugabyte Friday Tech Talks. My name is Sushant Mishra. I'm the Director of Engineering in Language Layer and Relational Execution Engine team. Today we have Sergey Stelmakh with me. He is the Head of Security Engineering at YugabyteDB. And today he will talk to us about protecting the data in YugabyteDB by using the federal cryptography standards and why this is important for the users. With that, Sergey, over to you to share more details on the topic.
Yeah, thank you, Sushant. Thank you for the intro. Yeah, I've been with Yugabyte for a while, for three years already. And today I will be presenting data protection in YugabyteDB with FIPS. I would like to start this talk with a little bit of chiming in the history of this Yuga talks in Yugabyte. We already shared a lot of presentations about cryptography and the previous talks. We talked about row level security and column level encryption, encryption at rest, encryption in motion. And at one point, myself and Maurice, our head of security and compliance, we shared a Q&A session about the YugabyteDB Anywhere security. And this talk that I'm going to be leading today is related to all of this, and it's also a little bit different. I will be talking about cryptography guideline, in particular FIPS and its relation to YugabyteDB. So without any further ado, let's jump to their presentation. And I want to start with a little disclaimer about cryptography. And you actually looking at my favorite slide in cybersecurity. It's no matter what talk I do, I find a way to squeeze it in. It's a visual representation of all cybersecurity domains. And you see in the middle the cybersecurity here. And if you go to the upper left corner, you see security architecture and a line to cryptography and encryption standards. So our talk going to be focused around this area, cryptography and encryption standards. But it's good to be aware that cryptography is very important domain. Is a cool domain. There are a lot of papers written about cryptography and articles, scientific articles as well. But cryptography is just one of the domains in cybersecurity, and there are 50 other domains that you should worry about in that domain. But with this talk, I'll at least show you how to implement cryptography properly in YugabyteDB, and don't worry about this particular circle on this diagram. So that's the agenda. You still should be worrying about all other things, but at least cryptography standards will get it covered. All right. Let's move to maybe let me give you, I'm not going to give you an academical definition of cryptography. I think all the listeners to this talk, they're intuitively understand what cryptography is. It's pretty much everything about encryption, decryption, encryption keys, there are crypto protocols, and digital signatures.
Sergey,
Yep.
sorry to interrupt. Is it possible to zoom in into the picture and kind of point out where the cryptography is? Like, I think the font is a little bit smaller since it has so many components.
I don't know if it's possible in the presentation. Let me try. No, is it getting bigger? Nope.
No.
May I? Hold on. Let me. That's the only slide I have with that font. It's not big enough. Let's see. Hold on.
So, yeah, if we can't make it bigger, Sergey, it's okay because I think the main point you're making is that security is multifaceted, as depicted by your slide, right? I'm not sure there are probably good 150 to 200 boxes maybe there, and
No,
we are
it's not that
covering,
bad. It's not
right?
that bad. Yeah. So I'm gonna zoom in here, and then I'll just go in the slideshow again. So in the center, you see cybersecurity, and then there is a line going up to security architecture, and there's cryptography out there. If you just Google cybersecurity domains, you'll find many versions of this diagram available. It's just the one that I use, and that there are different ways to split the cybersecurity domains, but yeah, we primarily going to be focusing around cryptography and encryption standards today.
Nice.
All right, gonna start slideshow again, and the next one I already mentioned, and I think Sushant you mentioned as well, the FIPS. So what is FIPS? FIPS stands for Federal Information Processing Standard. The name itself is not very descriptive, but in a nutshell, it's a guideline about a few hundreds pages of definitions how to use cryptography properly. It's a spec. What to do with cryptography, what not to do with cryptography. It comes with examples as well. It specifies crypto libraries that are considered crypto algorithms that are considered secured. It defines a minimum size of the keys, encryption keys in particular. And why is FIPS important? If you FIPS compliant, if your product is FIPS compliant, it guarantees that you don't have weak cryptography in your system. So that's a FIPS certification is a guarantee that you using industry best practices in cryptography. Federal FIPS compliance is all often required by organizations that handle federal data. That's where the federal is coming from in the name. It's if you work with federal agencies, that's also a very strict requirement that your product must be FIPS compliant, and it also used to demonstrate high security standards by non-governmental entities like financial organizations, banks, big enterprises. And I see more and more startups adopting FIPS cryptography these days just to ensure that, just to demonstrate that the cryptography posture is good enough for the customers. That's why it's important. As I mentioned, FIPS itself is just the implementation guideline is 200 pages of detailed implementation. It's a detailed implementation spec. And just to give you an idea, that is going to show you this slide. That's don't try to wrap your head around this formula. And this is a screenshot of their one snippet from the implementation guide. And I want you to look at this slide for a couple of seconds and kind of forget it. But imagine 200 pages like this. So just to give you an idea what the spec looks like. It's a very technical spec. It's not your typical guideline. And of course, the standard is written by a group of experts, and it is maintained by NIST. And NIST, and I want to tell you more about this organization. It's a very influential organization. Let me go to the next slide. It's a NIST stands for National Institute of Standards and Technology. It's a U.S. federal agency, and it develops and maintains standards and technology across many different fields: health, manufacturing, physics, pretty much most aspects of modern life. So it is defined by NIST, including cybersecurity. So it's extremely influential organizations in that standards space. And when you hear industry best security practices, NIST is what people usually refer to. So that's in it, not just in the United States, but globally. You open some European security guidelines and you read it, and it's literally a copy paste of NIST standards. So it is extremely influential organization, and their standards, it's all global standards. It's a copy of NIST or inspired by NIST in one shape or form. Now, I want to touch base on FIPS applicability. So when we talk about, and I already mentioned this couple of the different terms: FIPS certified, FIPS compliant, FIPS certification. What's a difference? So I just want to touch base on that. This term, so how those terms used, and what's their area of applicability of FIPS certification and FIPS compliance. So FIPS certified and FIPS validated is pretty much the same thing, and it applies to cryptographic modules. And cryptographic module is a library or a piece of hardware that does encryption. So, but the applicability is only those cryptographic modules. So only cryptographic modules can be certified and validated. And NIST, that's the organization that's managing those validation procedures and also issue certificates, FIPS certificates for your cryptographic libraries. So I put a screenshot below. You see that if you look at the name of that certification, FIPS for cryptographic modules. So that's only covering crypto modules. However, you often see that some products and like operating systems, they claim that they're FIPS compliant, and that usually means that the software, that particular software, depends on third-party cryptographic modules that are FIPS certified. So that's what it's a very important difference, and it's important in the case of YugabyteDB because YugabyteDB is a database. So we are not a cryptographic module, and to be FIPS compliant for us means that to adopt FIPS compliant, FIPS certified cryptography, and that's what we did. So FIPS YugabyteDB adopted OpenSSL version 308, which is FIPS validated or FIPS certified. So that's it means so that any cryptographic calls that you make in from the database, they are managed by this this FIPS certified library. And on the first slide, I show you the few presentations that we did in the past about cryptography in Yugabyte, encryption and at rest, encryption in motion. So all their functions and all the ciphers that have been used in those use cases now call into this OpenSSL library that is FIPS certified.
So, Sergey, maybe one question here. I am a database user, and I am trying to understand what functions or operation I do in general, which are getting impacted by adopting this version of OpenSSL, the 308 you mentioned, which is FIPS compliant. So which are those database operations are becoming secure or getting impacted in a positive way?
Yeah. Good question. Most of those operations going to be seamless for our customers. It's pretty much connections to the database, encryption in transit. So any connections happening within the database clusters and a transfer of data, which is encrypted, is going to be impacted. And also connection to the database node itself from application clients. So that's encryption in transit, and of course encryption at rest. So any encryptions that we support column level encryption and a disk level encryption, that's also gonna be impacted by adopting and enforcing this standard.
Yeah, thank you. And also any usage of extensions which uses the Postgres extensions which
Right.
uses
Yeah.
cryptography.
PG crypto, for example, that's a very popular one. So any crypto that's used in extension also gonna be impacted. Yeah, that's a good catch. Thank you, Sushant.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right, so still important aspect of this FIPS library behind YugabyteDB. It's not enforced by default, so we will ask our customers if you want to adopt this stronger certified cryptography to enable G flag in your environment. So here, this is a screenshot from the Yugabyte Anywhere. So you basically have to add this flag here. OpenSSL require FIPS. And you can also check that this FIPS is enabled, true for T server and master. And that's pretty much it. So that's an additional G flag that you need to enable and adopt in YugabyteDB. Now, usually that's when it gets to any security audit and you need to prove that you're using FIPS library, those screenshots gonna be enough. So you just demonstrate that your product is using FIPS library, and that's gonna be sufficient. But I wanna show you something else as well. I wanna show you how to also demonstrate to the auditors, if it gets to it, okay, let me check the stream is going. Okay, I lost it. And let me show you how to demonstrate to auditors that actually FIPS certified crypto used in on YugabyteDB node. To present. Right, can you see my terminal?
Yeah, I can see your terminal.
All right, so what we're gonna do, I'll SSH to the DB node. So I am, so I am on YugabyteDB node, the one that was in my slide from the presentation. And you can see that's how you check the OpenSSL version. Yeah, you see that the FIPS compliant version of SSL, but there's a catch here. That's a FIPS compliant version of SSL that operating system is using. So my operating system is using is backed by FIPS compliant cryptography. Now at Yugabyte, we decided to also package OpenSSL into their YugabyteDB package itself. So we don't really depend on OS level cryptography. So and that was going to help us guarantee that the proper crypto is used in the product. And now let's do. Right, let's do this. All right, that's the path here. You see that's cryptography from used in YugabyteDB itself. So yeah, OpenSSL 308, and that is. Let me stop sharing and get back to the browser.
So, Sergey, while you're switching the screens, so just to kind of, if I make sure that I myself and everybody understood the point correctly, we ship our own version of SSL 3.0.8, which is used with Yugabyte. Like the operating system where we are installing the YugabyteDB, it could have a different version, but we are not depending on that.
Right. Because we don't control how their database is installed in some cases, so it's just safer for this particular mode to. So yeah, that's a decision we made to package the OpenSSL FIPS certified version into YugabyteDB. Now I just want to clarify that it's not our own OpenSSL version. We using of OpenSSL. We using open source version of OpenSSL. It's just a FIPS compliant version.
Understood. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that's important distinction. That's what I inferred is that this is a particular open SSL version which we are open source version we are shipping. That makes sense. And we did it this way because it becomes very seamless for the customers. Now they don't have to rely on installing that any specific version, since we ship it as part of the Yugabyte database, and we use that version for the FIPS compliance.
Precisely. Yep. And guys, I'm sharing the NIST cryptographic module validation program. So if some piece of product is claiming that they're FIPS certified, so they gotta be a link to NIST organization certification validation program. And here you can see that that's the details about the certification and what it's the timeline. It actually takes a while to get certified by NIST. But yeah, if the cryptographic module is not on this website, it doesn't have certification. So you can also search all validated agents and libraries here. So let's say any Java. No, this model name Java. Yeah, so you can search for some Java crypto modules on that website. Actually, not many.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's a neat way to check. And Sergey, since we are Postgres compatible in regards to the authentication and the other usage of cryptographic, so other functions which show the the SSL versions used in different Postgres connections, those Postgres functionality can also be leveraged to kind of really reflect that which version of SSL is being used, and then whether SSL is or it's FIPS compliant or not.
Yeah, absolutely. So that by enforcing this flag, you basically ensure that all the crypto in all the extensions is kind of using the proper cryptography.
Yeah, I think it speaks to our Postgres compatibility as well.
Yep.
Right. So different users can just use different Postgres functions, which kind of really reports various information about what it is SSL version a connection is using and various other details related to it, or even to the point like if even SSL is used or not.
Right.
So that all of those functionality works with YugabyteDB as well. So that uh, uh, nobody has to reinvent the wheel to kind of figure a new way out, since if they are already using Postgres, then it's exactly the same steps works on the
Yeah.
YugabyteDB
It
as
should be
well.
seamless, and we had this flag tested. Nothing is breaking, so of course, you guys welcome to use it in your environments. And when it gets to the next steps, so FIPS, the version that we are currently using is FIPS 140-2 certified, and we're waiting for the next version to be certified as well under 140-3 standard. This is a bit technical or like compliance details here, but as soon as this version is certified, we're gonna adopt it in the product and make it available to our customers. And at some point, I think we'll make this mode default. So you'll have to actually, and that's a Sushant, we need to have a discussion with you about. I actually want to have a flag by default, have it enabled, and use gflag to disable FIPS. So I hard to imagine the scenario when our customers would want to switch off to the weaker cryptography, but yeah, by default, I want to have a strong crypto in the product, so they don't need to bother with gflag configurations.
Yeah, I think it depends on some of the legacy applications may still be using the older cryptographic methods. And I think that's kind of preventing us to enable FIPS or other security features on by default, uh, because that may be at times a breaking change for those applications. Again, it's not that those applications are not secure, it just they are secured in different other ways than just relying on the use of the stronger cryptographic, which is generally a good recommendation as well, right? So I think this is a broader conversation between us and the customers to chart out a forward path on this.
Yeah, with frameworks like this, it takes a while for industry to adopt. Just give you an example that this latest and greatest version of FIPS 140-3 was initially published in 2019. And just thus this year, the first module started popping up. Like 5 years later, some actual libraries that we can take and integrate in the product started become available.
Yeah, totally agree. I think this adoption takes its time to spread and even get to a wider adoption point. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Sergey, this was really an awesome presentation and talk, right? I learned a lot. I think I was not aware of a lot of great details you kind of provided, where this cryptography sits in the overall security system, and then how to kind of really connect all the dots, right? If we want to call out ourselves FIPS compliant, or if somebody is using the YugabyteDB to check for the FIPS compliance. So yeah, that was pretty awesome and very interesting.
Yeah, thank you for hosting, Sushant.